Hi everyone, my name is Latimer and I'm currently an occupational therapy student at Boston University completing my doctoral capstone project on yoga for Parkinson's disease. I'm very excited to get started with our class today, and I'm going to be going over some safety recommendations and our setup for the class. So first things first, before you start class today, make sure that it's an appropriate time of the day for you to exercise. So that means that you are well rested and you've taken your medication for the day to manage your symptoms. Be sure to listen to your body throughout class, and if you feel any pain or discomfort in any poses, please stop where you are and get out of the pose or try a different variation that I will show throughout the class. And if the pain continues, consult your doctor or physiotherapist for some other options. As far as our setup for class, you will need a yoga mat or just a soft, comfortable surface for you to practice on. Some of the class will be in a chair, some of the class will be on the floor. So you want it to be squishy and comfortable enough for your knees and your joints as you get down on the ground. You will need at least one chair for class today, preferably a chair without arms, but if you only have a chair with arms, that will work perfectly fine. You will want a water bottle with you, and I encourage practicing next to a wall. As you can see, I will be doing. Throughout class, I'll be showing how we can use the wall for some of these exercises. If you don't have a wall that is available, I recommend a sturdy table or a second chair. And if you know that you don't want to get on the floor today, you'll want a second chair to do some of the postures seated using the other chair instead of getting on the floor. Some other equipment that you might use, props to help increase comfort in your practice, are yoga blocks. I have two. If you don't have a yoga block, you can use a book or stack of books to bring the ground closer to you. You could use a water bottle like what I have, or even a second chair to use as a yoga block and bring the ground closer to you. I will also be using a strap throughout our class today. This is what my yoga strap looks like. If you don't have a strap, you can use a bathrobe tie, which is what I have here, or even a belt. And lastly, I have a blanket, a yoga blanket, but you can use any blanket for while we get on the floor, especially for our knees if you've had any past knee injuries. Be sure to modify physical postures as needed today, especially balancing postures. If you know that you're feeling a little bit off today, take things easy and do what feels right. I recommend practicing barefoot, but if you feel more comfortable, you can have non-slip socks or non-slip shoes on too. And lastly, if you have a mirror in front of you, that may be helpful for some visual feedback to make adjustments as needed, but it's not necessary for the class. Lastly, for safety, please make sure that there is another adult at your residence, and if you are alone, just make sure that there's somebody you could call and contact in case anything happens. And I even encourage you to have your loved ones join these classes with you to add in that social component and that social support for these virtual classes. Thank you so much, and let's get started. We're going to get started today in a comfortable seated position in our chair with our feet nice and flat on the floor. If your feet don't necessarily touch the floor, you can always bring that block or book and place it underneath your feet to bring the ground a little bit closer. We can sit up nice and tall, thinking about our posture here, lengthening up from the crown of the head, rolling the shoulders back and down, resting the arms at our sides or on our thighs, wherever comfortable. And once we're ready, we can either soften the gaze, looking down towards the floor, or even close the eyes. Taking a few deep breaths here. Not trying to change the breath at all, just noticing its natural rhythm, flowing in and out of the body. letting go of anything else we have to do today, our to-do lists, or what came before this. Just allowing ourselves to be fully present for this yoga class on our mats today. Giving our minds and bodies a chance to refresh. Taking one full breath together as a class. Big inhale in through the nose. An open mouth, sigh it out. We'll start to flutter the eyes open if they aren't already. And we're going to start getting moving. You can move the block out of the way if you had one underneath your feet. And we're going to come to the edge of our seat, feet nice and flat on the ground. Sitting up nice and tall, drawing the belly button in towards the spine here. And with our inhale, we're going to reach both arms out and up, exaggerating where we can. The gaze lifts up. Big breath in and exhaling. Arms come all the way down. Opening up the hands nice and wide here. Inhaling, reaching out and up. The gaze lifts. And exhaling, reaching as far out of your midline as you can. Big wide hands. 2 more rounds. Breathing in. And breathing out. This time on our inhale, we're going to come to cactus arms or goalpost arms. The gaze lifts, opening up the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades back behind you. Big hands here. Breathing in and exhaling, rounding out through the upper spine, tucking in the chin, almost like we're hugging an imaginary friend here. Separating and inflating the upper back as much as we can. Breathing out. Inhale, cactus arms, opening up the chest. And exhaling, rounding out. Moving through these 2 at your own pace. Last round, wherever we're at. And then coming back to our neutral spine here. So while we're on the edge of our seat here, our feet are nice and flat, we're going to come into a simple core exercise that really targets the deep abdominal muscles. And so while we're here, you can have your arms on the chair while you go back. Our seat stays on the edge of the chair, and I want us to bring our chest all the way back so that we're resting on the backrest here. And we can do this just to have an idea of what it will feel like. Without using your hands, I want you to try and sit up. So whatever it looks like, we're just going to try and sit up, nice and tall from where we were. So coming back, what most likely happened is we use our shoulders, we round our shoulders and almost throw them forward and use that momentum to bring ourselves up. Instead, while we're back on our chair, I want us to keep our belly button drawn in and think about lifting with your chest. A good way to think about it is like there is a rope coming out from the center of your chest and somebody is pulling up from the center of the chest. So you can start with using the hands on the edge of the chair if you'd like first, or you can have the hands on the thighs. This time we take a big breath in. And on our exhale, lifting with the chest. The trunk moves as one unit up to a seated position. So just scooting back and forth, you maybe notice that the feet lift, which is perfectly fine. On the exhale, lifting up, drawing the belly button in, noticing the muscles in your core that you have to use to do this motion and what it feels like. Leading with the chest. And so coming back into our chair, we're going to start marching and using our legs. You can be back relaxing on the back of the chair, or you could be hovering just in front of it if you really want to work more of your core, but really focus on, it's easy to round out, so focus on lifting through the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades together, and maybe this is more comfortable in a neutral spine to start, and we can work our way up to leaning back and engaging the core. But with that in mind, the core stability in mind, drawing the belly button in, we're going to begin to march. So feet are flexed, marching one leg and then the other. You can do this sitting up nice and tall, or maybe leaning back a little, engaging the core. And so what's really important here as we get marching is when we're using our core this way, if you are leaning back with me, and as we're marching, we are really using our psoas muscle. It's the longest muscle in the body, and it's the only muscle that connects our upper body to our lower body. That's its sole purpose. And you can really feel it. It's right in front of the hips here, if you're leaning back with me. Each time you march, think about what is tightening and contracting. That is your psoas muscle. And so what has been helpful with Parkinson's in the research is when you are in tune with your body and knowing what these motions feel like, it can help with freezing of gait, because instead of thinking I'm marching my legs or I'm taking a step, another way you can think about it is I'm contracting this muscle. We're definitely feeling it now. We've been marching for a bit. And so that can be helpful in your day-to-day, thinking about how your body feels, what muscles you're using, and even imagining what it feels like before you go to do something. We're going to move this into a bit of a flow. If you'd like to continue marching, that's perfectly fine. Lifting through the chest, keeping our posture here. We're going to inhale the right knee up and exhaling, kicking it straight out. Inhaling to bend and exhaling, resting it down. Left leg, inhaling up, exhaling to extend, inhaling up, and exhaling to release down. Continuing with your own pace. Integrating that Ujjayi breath. Maybe playing around with the core here, seeing how light we can be on that back rest. One more round each side. From here, we're going to move into our chair and standing poses. We won't be standing for very long today, and then we're going to get on the floor. If you don't plan on getting on the floor, you can still practice the same things in your chair, and I'll show you that option. So feet are hips distance apart. You can have your hands on the edge of your seat or on the arms if you have them. And we're going to start to shift the weight forward, bringing the chest over the knees and ankles, maybe so much so that your seat can lift up and off of the chair. What usually tends to happen in this chair pose is we arch our lower back. So I want us to think about drawing the belly button in towards the spine to have that nice neutral back here. And then we're just going to come right back down, only a few inches off of the chair. Inhaling, shifting forward, and exhaling, sending the weight back. If you'd like to come all the way up to stand, powerfully pressing through the feet, lifting up, squeezing the kneecaps when you're up to stand, and exhaling, slowly sinking back, drawing the belly button in. You can almost fight gravity on the way down. That will help with eccentric strengthening. Inhaling, shifting the weight forward, maybe just an inch. Maybe we're coming all the way up. Using the wall to your side as support if needed. And coming back down. Keep moving at your own pace. As you shift forward, we want to be pressing down and grounding down through the four corners of your feet. The four corners are 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it doesn't include your toes. 1, 2, 3, 4 corners of your foot. So really think about planting in and rooting those four corners of both feet down. Last time, inhaling, shifting the weight forward, drawing the belly button in, coming all the way to stand. And we're going to make our way behind our chair. So taking our time here, we are behind our chair. We have a wall next to us or a sturdy table as well for support as needed for our balancing posture. Feet are hips distance apart. Hands are on our chair. We're rolling our shoulders back and down. And we are in Tadasana, mountain pose. Tadasana can be a great pose to also do against the wall if we're thinking about posture. When you do your back up against the wall, it really helps the rounded posture because you're thinking about squeezing your shoulders back so that they are touching the wall. Hands can be at the sides if you're against a wall, or if you want to just have one hand holding on to the chair, you can have both hands hanging onto the chair. Hands can come at our sides, or to Anjali Mudra, which is in a prayer position. When we're in the prayer position, we're relaxing our shoulders back and down, pressing the palms into each other, elbows out wide. Tadasana, mountain pose. Taking a few breaths here. Whichever variation we're in, thinking about stacking the feet, the knees, the hips, drawing the belly button in, stacking the shoulders and head. We're lengthening up through the crown of the head, shoulders back and down. 2 more breaths. And we're going to be making our way down onto our mat here. So taking our time, you'll want your blanket close by. And if you know you're not going to make it down on the mat, you'll want to grab your other chair and have it in front of you like so. And you'll do your options from there. So while we are on our stomachs, you can always have your blanket underneath your chest if you are a little bit tighter in your neck and upper back, or you can always be seated while doing this. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring our elbows by our chest, palms on the ground, spreading all 10 fingers. We're going to inhale, lifting the gaze here, squeezing the shoulder blades back behind us, pressing in through the tops of the feet here for our Sphinx pose. So this is a really great postural strengthening exercise. We're squeezing our shoulder blades back together behind us, strengthening those upper back muscles. One more big breath in here, lifting up. And exhaling, releasing down, forearms come in front and forehead rests on them as a pillow. And bringing the hands to the sides of the chest, pressing ourselves back to swing our legs around and make our way all the way onto our backs, taking our time. We can always roll up the blanket and put it underneath the neck. And all of these poses on our back can also be done in a chair. So wherever we're at, we're going to bring the soles of our feet onto the mat. We'll drop the knees over towards the right here. And then just start to windshield wipe the knees from right to left. We'll drop the knees over towards the right here. And then just start to windshield wipe the knees from right to left. Next time the knees fall over towards the right, we'll bring the arms out to a T. The gaze is over the left shoulder. Coming back to the breath here in this simple twist. Inhaling, coming back through center. And knees drop over to the left this time. Gaze is over the right shoulder. Coming back through center here. Arms can be at our sides or wherever comfortable. We're going to come into a figure 4 hip stretch. So we're going to bring the right ankle to rest on top of the left knee. The right knee goes out to the side. We're flexing that right foot here. And this can be done in a chair as well. If our hips are a little bit more open, we can stay here. Otherwise, we can reach through that keyhole and grab underneath the left thigh, flexing both feet here, feeling it in that outer right hip. Breathing here. Releasing that leg. Right foot comes down, left ankle comes on top of the knee this time. And maybe noticing how one side is different than the other. Maybe one side is a little bit tighter, or one side is maybe even more open. And honoring that, coming back to the theme of this class, listening to our bodies, being gentle with our bodies, and knowing when you're pushing yourself too far and when to pull back. If you're here with me on the left side and our hips are more open, you can reach through and grab underneath the thigh for a deeper stretch, flexing both feet. And exhaling, releasing that right leg. Legs come out long, arms fall wherever comfortable. And exhaling, we're going to scrunch the face up, frowning the eyebrows, squinting the eyes, scrunching up the nose, pursing the lips like you're kissing someone. Exhaling out. Now on our inhale, we're surprised. eyebrows lift up, mouth opens as wide as we can, big eyes. Ah. Big deep breath in. And exhaling, scrunching everything up again, frowning the eyebrows, scrunching up the nose, pursing the lips. Inhaling, big smile. And then relaxing the face here, allowing all the tension to begin to release from the body. Coming into our final relaxation or Shavasana pose. Legs are out wide, arms are a couple feet away from the body. Again, you can have the blanket rolled underneath the neck and head, underneath the knees, or maybe over the hip. Beginning to allow the eyes to fall closed here, coming back to the breath, soaking up the benefits of our practice. Beginning to feel a wave of relaxation from head to toe throughout the entire body. Noticing where we're carrying tension in the face, in the eyebrows, in the jaw and the mouth, the shoulders and neck, the hands and hips, all the way down through the toes. And just seeing where we can release and fully relax here. Coming back to the breath, lengthening the exhale. Beginning to bring some awareness back into the body by wiggling the toes and wiggling the fingers, maybe rocking the head side to side, massaging the back of the head. We'll go ahead and bend both knees, reach one arm up overhead, and we'll roll over to whatever side that was, using that arm as a pillow, coming into like a fetal position, bending the knees. And using the top arm, we'll go ahead and press ourselves up to a comfortable seated position. Just taking a moment to honor our bodies for all it allowed us to do throughout this yoga practice. The light within me honors the light within each of you. Namaste.